Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast. Today, we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the long-lost Buy Box Bandits host, Daniel, a.k.a. Wi-Fi Astronaut, a.k.a. Papa Wi-Fi, a.k.a. Wi-Fi Astronaut, 2Ts, some parts of social media.
Did you just call him Daniel to start that?
Oh yeah, man. See, our fearless leader of Boxum, right? And if you haven't yet tried Boxum, our brand new Amazon FBA shipment software, you can get a 2-week free trial on our website, boxum.com. We've got a bunch of good YouTube tutorials that break down how to use it. You'll quickly see you no longer need your current expensive, clunky, or outdated solution for Amazon FBA shipments here. But Danny, so it's been a little while since we had you on the podcast. I believe it was the 2-year anniversary last October. I think we got you on that.
Yeah, I think we did a State of the Union.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes, correct.
where you been, man? Tell us what's been up and everything, and we'll catch up, because clearly, based on what happened at ASD in Vegas at the Seller Open Boxing event, people want to know.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys know, but I guess the audience doesn't, or they may can figure it out now. But basically, the past year, a little bit over a year, I've been just solely focused on building Boxum and the new venture of what is a software company, because it's more than just selling on Amazon now. Like, there's a whole software is a whole nother deal. So it's just learning basically a whole new industry and just diving in and having a lot of fun while we're doing it. But it's very time consuming. It's difficult, but it's fun.
So before we get into
that's really where I've been.
the nitty gritty of the actual software, where did the idea come from? Right, obviously, it makes sense based on some of the other work that we've all done and you guys have done. There's a need in the space for that, but why now? And kind of what started the momentum?
Quite honestly, I saw some software that had been there historically. I'm not going to mention any names, but like you guys could figure it out. And the performance of like said softwares is just like, it was horrendous. And actually it's more than just one. They weren't like, there's no updates going out on a lot of these softwares, or they haven't been in a while. Like they haven't updated the UI in a while. And I'm like into technology too. So I understand this stuff can be fixed with the right engineers. And so I saw software companies were degrading their services and like damn near, in my opinion, disrespectful to the customers. Like they're not putting out good products.
It's not improving it over years and years and years.
They're not improving,
time.
not iterating at all, and just basically raising costs, cutting affiliate referrals, and just, screwing over the customer. And I thought, you know what? If these guys can do it, I could do it too. Same way I got into Amazon. I saw Miles doing it, saw some other people doing it. I was like, these guys can do it, I can do it too. And that's where the first idea started, like that, oh, maybe we could make our own and then offer it to the marketplace. And that's how the conversation got started, basically, is by going like, look at X software. They haven't updated since probably 2018. And that's how it started.
That's the cool part, though, is like it's interesting the way your mind expands, and that we used to we knew like the Scout IQ guys incredibly well back in the day, but we never thought that we could do ourselves, basically. Those guys are great and everything, right? Caleb and the squad there from back in the day and everything. But it's cool the way your mind expands and you start to see what's possible. And that specifically was one of our buddies in Miami was talking about building like smaller, like micro SaaS companies, basically.
Yes.
And it was like a Friday afternoon. You were like, I think I can make a wholesale CRM in like the next week with no code.
Yeah.
And then you kind of did in like the next 6 weeks, basically.
Yeah,
and then, yep.
Yeah, so someone had mentioned no code to me, and I was like, oh, that's fascinating. Like I could build a software without having any code involved. Not really how it works. There's definitely still like code involved. It's not necessarily code, but it's a whole new skill set of building blocks that you don't know how to use. So basically, I found out about no code and I was like, oh, I could for sure build a better wholesale CRM that's currently out there. Built it in 6 weeks, supplier flow with one Upwork. I call them soldiers. I call them Upwork soldiers. That's what they are. They're soldiers. And
is that why you have a sword on your wall?
Yeah.
Said symbolic of the people you work with.
Oh, I mean, kind of. Yeah. I mean, we're all
going to war. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to war.
Yeah, we're fighting against clunky and outdated software.
Yeah.
That are overpriced.
Hold on, before we keep going, I have never heard the word clunky more than I have in the past month and a half.
Well, because they're clunky.
Yeah, but like it's such a weird word, right? Like, and it shows up so frequently now that obviously Boxum is up and crushing it and demolishing the competition. But clunky is a word that's like top of mind now.
Yep. And then
Well,
so
because when
Danny,
you look at it, when you look at the other softwares, you can see like very clearly they're clunky. Like they don't work. Boxes are like disappearing and you got to like click around a million times to find the box. Things aren't loading and things are in confusing spots. Like it's just
and that's why it was easy for us to put Boxum together, was because we've sent hundreds and hundreds of shipments on our own. We've used lots of different stuff. We've spent time trying to figure out Amazon Seller Central because we didn't have the money to afford, significant investment monthly, at least, when you get going with this stuff. And that's why, we made Boxum really, really affordable and just really, situated nicely so that new sellers can find it accessible and easy to use. So you want to kind of walk through what Boxum currently is and then what some of the features you're thinking of for the future with it, basically?
Yeah. But real quick to finish on what I was saying, supplier flow, built that shit 6 weeks, gave it to Big Body Ben's G Body over here. Supplier flow is she was great. She was great. She worked great. Yeah. That was kind of like the I don't know what you would call it. Like
it's
testing
like
the
used
waters
books
a little bit.
before OA. You gotta
Yeah.
walk before you can run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Stepping stone.
also that didn't cost me too much. I highly encourage anyone who wants to mess around in no code or any kind of software, hire a VA for $20 an hour from wherever and get cracking away on it. Definitely.
Yeah. And so talk about what Boxum currently is basically and how it helps existing and new sellers.
So right now, Boxum primarily is an FBA shipment flow, right? We have an optimized FBA shipment flow with what I call internally to our team. I say we have like very good guardrails. So we make it kind of hard to mess it up. Currently in other software or even in the Amazon's own workflow, it's a little difficult to mess. It's difficult. It's easy to mess it up. Sorry. It's easy to mess it up. And it's a little confusing. So we put it into 4-step kind of formula and make it fairly simple to get in your products into the shipment, get them into the correct boxes, submit the box contents in a proper way, either through what Amazon calls the feed or using 2D barcodes, which I highly suggest everyone use 2D barcodes.
Yeah, what are 2D barcodes as well?
It basically just puts the box contents on a label, so it eliminates the possibility of more errors popping up in your shipment. And we think it makes shipments check in quicker because all of the testing we've done and all of our customers have done as well, undoubtedly they're getting checked in quicker. Now, why? We're not like exactly sure, but it's absolutely getting checked in quicker. I mean, Garrett, would you agree on that or?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that Amazon recommends 2D barcodes for people sending it. Like you can literally Google this. So like this is documentation on Amazon's website, but they don't let you do it through Seller Central. So you have to do it through a third party, basically. Yeah, right. And it's kind of an interesting thing, basically. We get asked all the time what 2D barcodes are, and they're basically just like supercharged FBA box labels, essentially.
Yep. And Boxum gives a unified FBA box label with the 2D barcode. So you have the actual FBA box label and the 2D barcode on it. I wish I had an example in front of me, but I don't right now. So yeah, it gives the box label, everything on one label. Where Boxum is going from the shipment flow. So I mean, we're not like, we didn't just like launch a shipment flow and go, okay, that's it. Like we're aggressively developing new features right now that are going to be coming out in the next weeks and months. And quite honestly, we're planning for years down the road. Like we've been in Boxum for the past year and we plan on being in it for the next many, many years. So this is the first round of features that have come out. What comes next? I actually don't know if I really want to say it because I feel like people are listening.
Yeah, well, it's fairly obvious in terms of like the next couple. Yeah, exactly.
Give us like the next 5 yards.
You could say the next 5 yards, real analytics is on the horizon. We're coming for all the analytics stuff. We're going to have a whole suite of pages.
They're
like that.
So beautiful too. Like it is absolutely revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like they're so beautiful.
Well, the Figma files, and Figma is like the design files. The design files always look a little bit better than when it actually ever gets coded.
Like they are ridiculously beautiful.
Yeah. But we have a lot of cool stuff coming out. Like everything that you're able to do with software and e-commerce, we're looking at it, and we have we have 5 American engineers right now working in Boxum, and we're pushing out great product, great code, and we're going to continue doing so.
And another big thing too is that we funded it all ourselves too, so we have no one to answer to. We are the customer base. We're by Boxum is by sellers for sellers. Like, we know exactly what you guys need. We talk to you every day. We live stream every day. We've answered, questions for years. We were at a Boxum networking event last week in Las Vegas with 200 sellers. Like, this is a big, serious thing, and we're going to do our best to make it as best as possible.
Yeah, and that also allows us to maneuver pretty quickly.
Yeah, you don't need approvals from 7 different people and ask for approval for this funding and that funding. But on a kind of a different note, right? The Amazon sellers that have been in the business for, I mean, as long as us three have probably noticed that, like, just in general, the Amazon flow has changed pretty dramatically from an FBA standpoint. Right, back in the day, there was 2 options. There was like the default placement and then the inventory placement.
Yep.
We've kind of accepted that inventory placement wasn't necessarily needed. If you shipped more than 18 units, you probably could avoid that, and everything kind of goes into the same place.
Mhm.
Now it's different. There's like 6 different options to choose from. Optimize this, optimize that, default place, whatever the case may be, right? So can you kind of break down, because I think this is a big point of confusion for newer sellers looking to send in their first couple shipments in terms of like which one to pick, how much each of them costs, which is the cheapest option. So can you kind of like give us a breakdown of all the different options that you can select from?
So as of August 21st, 2024, and I have to put in that disclaimer because Amazon is constantly changing the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and people are going to listen to this for years, right? So it's
So as of August 21st, 2024 at 3:40 p.m., currently how it is, if you're sending in shipments via an API, which means via any other third-party software, there are 3 options for placement fees. And please, either of you correct me if I'm messing something up. But from my understanding, okay, yeah, I think I'm decently well versed. So from my understanding, there's 3 options for placement fees, and it's really 3 tiers. You have no splits, partial splits, and then Amazon optimized splits. That first option that gives you no splits, I forget what the actual name of it is, but it gives you no splits, and your placement fees for that option are the highest. The second option, and it also won't split your shipment. So that no split, it won't split your shipments. Placement fees will be very high. The second option, partial splits, I believe it will split your shipment to a max, I think 3 or 4 shipments, and you will face like middle of the road placement fees. So you'll still have placement fees on every single unit, but your shipment will get split into a max of 3 or 4 different shipments. The last option, which is Amazon optimized splits, will basically can split your shipment up to, they say 5 different ways, but I've actually seen it sometimes go as high as like 6, 7, 8. We've done test shipments and seen like 8 splits, which is crazy. But basically that way you're supposed to get no fees. Now, recently, the past week, they just updated that. And what they updated was saying, if you are using the Amazon optimized splits, you have to meet certain criteria to get no placement fees. And the current criteria right now is your shipment must include 5 identical boxes. And within those 5 identical boxes, you must have the same quantity per item and the same item mix. So the boxes have to be the same. I would assume they mean dimensions and weight, but quite honestly, in their help article, it doesn't say if it's dimensions and weight. It just says identical, but I would assume it's dimensions and weight. And then you definitely need the same quantity per item and the same item mix to not get any sort of fees. However, in our testing, it seems pretty like sporadic. They don't always get hit with the placement fees. Actually, rarely I've seen them get hit with the placement fees the past day or so when using Amazon Optimized. So as of right now, I personally would just still do Amazon Optimized. But if you really don't want splits, I guess you can move that up the ladder into partial or the highest tier option where you get no splits and you have to pay placement fees. I think the better question is what are the placement fees? And, people need to understand what the placement fees are. I'm actually trying to log in right now, doing this live here.
Yeah, and the big thing is you can see, by the way, Danny talks about this, like this is what he's, eat, slept, and breathed the past year, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you follow at Wi-Fi Astronaut on Twitter and then at Boxum as well, right? Because we who's more qualified to talk about this stuff besides Amazon and you in regards to like who's in deep in the trenches figuring this stuff out, making it easier for our customers. We were on Zoom with the customer 2 days ago, right? Figuring out these problems that come up, within the process here, because we want to make it as easy as possible for you guys. And that's the cool part, is that our incentives are completely aligned, in that if we do a good job of providing good Amazon content for you guys on the podcast and a good product, you'll take care of us the same way we're trying to take care of you guys and everything. So that's the nice thing, is that we're not gurus. Our incentives are literally completely aligned, and there's a 2-week free trial of Boxum as well. So there's literally no risk on your end.
Yeah,
So
100%. And it looks like the max fee you can take when it comes to placement fees per unit, I can't log in right now. I'm not able to log in, but it seems like I remember looking, it was like around the most you're paying per unit is like 30 cents a unit, I think. If it's a standard size product, it looks like it's about 30, 35 cents a unit on the highest end. There's ranges between like 12 cents and 30 cents a unit. So that basically means you need to start sourcing with that in mind. And you basically just have to build that into your sourcing model, because what these placement fees are, it's essentially taking the fulfillment center transfer process and putting not only the logistics process onto the seller. So they're making you send it to more warehouses rather than Amazon. And they're also moving the cost onto you as well, the seller. So there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Amazon as a company is moving into this kind of like stage of their life where they're trying to maximize profit, like that they're a for-profit company. That's what they're going to do. So things like this will be more common. But basically the placement fees are because they're passing on the fulfillment center, like the logistics process, onto the seller, and the cost onto the seller. And that's why it's there. And it's there to stay. It's never going to go away. Anyone who's offering you loopholes, sure, they'll be here for literally the next few months, and then they'll be gone.
And we saw major issues with loopholes as well a couple months ago. So please, if it's too good to be true, if Amazon institutes something new and it solves it, there's a good chance it's probably not a good idea.
So kind of like as we transition through talking through this Boxum cool thing, let's kind of highlight some of your favorite features, the competitive advantages that make Boxum so much better.
My favorite feature on Boxum right now in production has to be the bulk assign button. I think that's awesome. So basically what the bulk assign button is, so you're on what we consider step 3 of the shipment flow, which means you're packing your boxes. And let's say you have 1,000 units of something, and you know that you can fit all 1,000 units in 10 boxes, and all those boxes are going to be the same. All you have to do is click bulk assign 1,000 units, put the dimensions and weight of what each box will be. All of them are going to be the same. So you just have to enter it once. 1,000 units, 10 boxes, 100 in each, dimensions and weight. And you can click save and print FBA box label. And that one click will save that. So it'll save the box contents, and then it will print the FBA box label early before the end of the shipment, which is another advantage of Boxum. You're able to print your FBA box labels before the very end of the shipment.
So back in the day, you would print the FNSKU labels and then write box number 1, 48 pounds, and then go submit the data to Amazon, which is quicker on Boxum than many places, and then print the labels at the end, and then come back to the box, have to touch it again, put the FBA box label on it, which you're going to have to do that anyway, because you do the shipping label too, but have to associate it, have to figure out what's what. Meanwhile, with Boxum, you're going to print that FBA box label immediately, slap it on the box, and then you can immediately identify where the shipping label goes as well at the end of the
box
shipment.
number is going to match. It says
Bingo.
1 of 7.
Yeah, right there. So yeah, and then just overall speed too. If you run the search page comparison during the Boxum launch webinar, we kind of compared that, and it was honestly laughable in regards to just how much quicker. 2D barcodes as well. We hinted at that earlier, but 2D barcodes basically just as kind of supercharged FBA FBA barcodes. Right there, seeing faster check-in times with that, and Amazon recommends that as well too. And then automatic pricing as well. You want to break down the automatic pricing for standardizing your listing prices?
Yeah. So right now we have a few auto features. One is auto pricing, and we're actually currently about to deploy a auto print FNSKU labels, which will be out in the next few days, depending on when you're listening to this. It's probably already out now if you're listening. But basically auto pricing, you can set a rule. So you can say match buy box price, or you can say increase by buy box price by X%. and then you can price your products that way. So you don't have to like click in and do it. You can just max the buy box, or what I think you might want to be doing. I don't want to give any price suggestions here. That'd be teetering on some federal laws. But
Disclaimer.
what I would do is set match buy box price and increase by like 20-25%. Your repricer is going to change it anyway. So
once your inventory is checked in as optimal purely from a profit maximizing perspective, right? Because you don't want to, theoretically undercut and then have your inventory show back ordered on the product page and have other people who don't know how that works undercut you, which messes up the listing. What I personally like to do is list above the buy box 10-20%. You can standardize that through Boxum, right? And then once your inventory is checked in, what I personally like to do is match buy box for the most part, or price a little bit above, especially FBA, take advantage of the prime bump right there too. So yeah, right in regards to the auto list right there, compatible with lots of different printers as well, and overall just making the shipment process a lot easier, a lot quicker, and a lot more modern.
Yeah, and one quick thing on the 2D barcodes. So 2D barcodes historically, like I don't think anyone really in OA or people on like Twitter, what I'm saying, Instagram, no, not a lot of people were really commonly using 2D barcodes. It was not talked about a ton.
Right.
And that's something that we kind of did is we brought 2D barcodes to OA sellers, RA, a little bit more mainstream in terms of like.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about it like that, but I do think like
used to hear
call
about
it
man.
8 months ago.
Yeah,
it was just an immediate association with 2D barcodes with or 2D barcodes with wholesale. You know what I'm saying? Which weird as it is, it's true, and now it's way different.
Yeah, it doesn't just have to be for wholesale. We were able to bring that.
Yep. And speaking of that as well, so we have also pallet capabilities within Boxum as well, right? And then sub users as well. So prep centers or employees or just your friends who might be prepping for you. There's capabilities with there too. So what's it been like? Like how did selling on Amazon prepare you to be operating a software company?
I think it's not really selling on Amazon. It's more so doing like any sort of entrepreneurship, any sort of like running your own business is going to prepare you for it. But you just need time in the game. Quite honestly, the best lessons are just failing, continuing, and just like time in the game and just keep going.
But that's one of the keys though, right? And you kind of disassociate it from Amazon itself. But I would argue that Amazon calluses you and creates that persistence more than most things.
100%.
Right? Like we would all agree that one of the common characteristics of successful Amazon sellers is that persistence, right? Is the willingness to fight through the authenticity, even though you've submitted it 6 times, fight through the ungate, even though you've submitted it 20 times, right? Deal with the IP complaints, deal with the lost units, deal with all the headaches that come about with a smile and keep it moving, right? Yep. And I think, that's probably something that's helped you in the process of dealing with real people, real engineers, right? Dealing with Amazon as from a software perspective. Can you kind of shed light on maybe like the one key headache that's kind of come about in this whole thing? Like maybe one day where you're like, oh, this is a mess.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me, but definitely Amazon.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Amazon. I mean, they know this more than anyone else, but their situation there is not good, and they have things that are supposed to work a certain way, and they just don't. They don't care about fixing them. Other than that, probably in the very, very beginning, hiring the right people. It took a little bit to learn how to hire and filter through to find the right engineers, which I think is actually pretty valuable to know how to do it.
Ooh, that's actually a good point. And let's kind of dig into this because I know you've kind of jammed on this in previous episodes and podcasts and things like that. But I think you've gotten very good at hiring, right? From both the supplier perspective and now Boxum, and you've hired a couple of VAs. And this is something that people can take away tangibly and apply to their own businesses, right? So like for the person that's listening to this, maybe not necessarily even Boxum related, that's looking to hire their first or second VA in the next couple months, in the next couple weeks, like what does that process look like?
I mean,
and on top of that, how do you manage them?
Yeah. When I'm hiring, when I'm like looking at potential employees to hire, like I am really looking for someone that has like that dog in them. They got to have, especially because we're bootstrapping this, right? We're self-funding. We can't afford to hire someone who doesn't have that dog.
Like, and from a time perspective too, like you literally had to stop selling on Amazon to do this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To put everything into this, you know? And so as we finish up here, Danny, so you obviously gave up a lot to be able to do Boxum, and it's a great example of how, you know, stuff can change really quick in regards to just, you know, really improving what you got going on. Give us the full elevator pitch here, last 30 seconds on, you know, how people can get signed up for Boxum and why should they?
Boxum is better than the alternative. Try it. It costs you nothing to try
$0.
it. And then go and compare it. Go compare the current features we have out now to what else is on the market, and choose for yourself what's better and vote with your wallets. Other than that, Boxum is day one right now. So these are the current features we have out now as of August 21st. We got a lot more in the pipe, got a lot more coming. All right, well, so I just got cut off there. I guess I said some things I probably shouldn't have said, but basically,
Low-key.
you know, that's how passionate I am about Boxum.
About the mission. Yeah.
Yeah. No, go and try it. See for yourself. Vote with your wallets. And this is day one of Boxum. I mean, we are an early software company. We are just getting started, which is that's the most exciting part. Is we are just getting started.
Have we started have we mentioned that prices increase in 2 days, August 23rd?
Well, it's tomorrow when you guys see this episode. So
Yeah.
they probably are up by now, basically. But it's $45 a month base. Check it out for free. Try it 2 weeks for free. Follow Wi-Fi Astronaut on Twitter. Follow @Boxum on socials as well. Story for another podcast. The hoops we had to jump through to get that. Love y'all. Talk to you guys soon. Be great. Appreciate you coming on, Pop Wi-Fi.
Gracias.